Yes, mates, how's it going? My name's Lee, and welcome back to the FPL Punk YouTube channel, where we try to dominate FPL one game week at a time. So I've got an updated draft, which includes the newly added Arsenal striker, Goalkeeper, who has been priced at exactly 9 million. In my opinion, this is a little bit underpriced, especially if he does take penalties off Saka. If you're considering Goalkeeper for game week 1, subscribe to the channel down below. Anyway, let's rock and roll.
Be strong.
Right, mates, first up, we've got the goalkeeper and the defence, and I've made some changes. I've taken Kelleher to sell, so I've put another 0.5 million into the goalkeeper position. I thought about it, and I just don't want to mess around here. I just rather have a better goalkeeper, a more long-term goalkeeper, and Kelleher just feels like there's too many unknowns. We don't know how good Brentford are going to be. New manager, new system. Feels like too much kind of messing around. Sells just makes sense. He makes saves inside the box. It'll be good for bonus. Be decent for clean sheets. I think he's got decent fixtures, and that's the reason why I really like him. And then I've gone for Murillo in defence. So originally I had Wan-Bissaka, Van Dijk, who has kept his place, and then I had Cucurella there as well. So I've just spread a bit of money around in there instead. So I don't have a £4.5 million starter as opposed to on the bench where I've got Anderson and Esteve on the bench. I like Anderson because he's good. I think he's going to be good for his kind of defensive contribution point of view, and fixtures aren't bad, and he kind of can. I think he can come in and cover quite well. I think form can only improve defensively, so that's the reason why I've got those two on the bench. But Murillo himself, I just think he's going to be a beast this year. I think he'll count. I think people underestimating for us. I think they did drop off towards the back end of the season. I think they were just tired. I think they will. I think they can keep enough clean sheets to do well. He's great for defensive contributions. I think he got him in something like 50 to 55% of his game. So he's going to be there or thereabouts when it comes to defensive contributions. It feels like his floor's at about 4 points. And if he gets a clean sheet, it could be 7, 8, 9, 10 points, like depending if he gets any bonus there as well. So I feel like his floors are so high, and that's the reason why I like him so much. And what I'm trying to do this season is, I used to play a lot of Sky Fantasy back in the day, and you would kind of focus players, or you'd focus on players that get you kind of your pass bonuses and your shooting bonuses and things like that. So I'm trying to look at defensive contributions as a way to kind of raise the floor of the team. That's the reason why I like the combination of Murillo, Van Dijk and Brandthwaite. I think they're all really good for defensive contributions. That's the reason why I've gone for those. And I think Sells will be good for his defensive contributions in terms of change ways to the bonus points scoring for goalkeepers, where they get more, or they get different types of points if they save a shot from inside the box, outside the box. And I think that'll just be beneficial to him, to be honest. Van Dijk, he's a beast. I just don't see a world where I don't start with Van Dijk. 6 million. I like having 6 million. Maybe even potentially 2. I'm not sure who would kind of drop out of Murillo and Brandthwaite. If it was going to be either of those, it probably would be like Murillo. Like, even though I've been bigging him up, I do like Chris Wood, and just kind of heads up, I don't have Chris Wood, but I do really like him, and that's the only way that I could get into that Forest team, by dropping in a defender in Murillo, because I just like Sells more from that point of view. Like, the one that who could compete with Sells if Trafford came in and we knew he was going to be number 1. I'm not convinced he's going to come and be number 1 straight away. I think he'll play a lot of games, but whether that's 50-50, 60-40 with Edison, I just don't know, and it's not worth messing around. I think if you're going for Trafford, you need a backup goalkeeper, and for that reason, I just don't see the point in messing around. Plus, I don't see City being that great defensively anyway, so no point messing around too much. Brandthwaite, I think he's going to be a beast. He's got a great first game. Leads away 5.5 million feels a lot, but I think it'd be good from defensive contributions point of view. They've been good under Moyes. I think they'll continue to be good, and I can see them getting off to a decent start, to be honest. He had a lot of injury concerns last year. I think he's looking better, he's looking fitter, and as a result of that, I just really like him as an option. I'm not seeing Brandthwaite in a lot of teams, and I think it's the price point putting people off, and I think we just need to kind of re-gauge things about price points and how things are. I see people not going for certain players because they were cheaper last year. I think you just need to kind of forget about that and focus on this season specifically. And I think Brandthwaite at 5.5 isn't bad, to be honest. Let's move on to the midfield. Moving on to the midfield, and both Palmer and Salah keep their position in the team. And a few players I've made way. I've sold Ndai, Kudus, and Florian Wirtz, and I've replaced them with Elliot Anderson, who again I think is going to be great for defensive contributions. Really cheap at 5.5 million. And I think with the likes of Anderson and Esteve providing some cover, that he might have to play every single week, and I can do some rotation there. But I just really like the idea of having these set and forget players that play every single week. And I think Anderson's going to be one of those. And it's the exact same with Rodri. I think if he comes in and does another 8 goal, 10 assist season like he did a couple of seasons ago, combined with his defensive contributions, you're looking at like a 180 to 200 point player there. So as of right now, depending on how City line up and how Rodri looks in terms of fitness, because like he obviously came off quite a bad injury last year, at 6.5, I think he's offering a lot of value there. Like, it might just be a plug and play for me. Just stick him in, play him every single week, regardless of the fixture. Because I think even if he plays against anybody, whether that's Arsenal away, like, he's going to get defensive contributions, and he's a pretty decent big game player. I mean, like, he scored against Inter in the Champions League final for them, so he has been known to pop up with goals and assists in those bigger games. That's the reason why I like him so much. I think it depends how City line up, where the rest of the team line up. They're not kind of firing all cylinders from an attacking point of view, so is that going to impact things? Is that going to reduce his assist numbers? That remains to be seen, but I think he's going under the radar, and I think if people are looking at the likes of Anderson and these other players that are looking at defensive contributions, I think you have to look at Rodri. Last but not least, we've got Morgan Rogers, and similar to Brandthwaite, I think people are focusing too much on his price last season. I think 7 million is great value. We've seen Watkins being linked away to the likes of Man United and other teams, and I like him at 7 million. I think there's a chance he could be on penalties. Don't know that for a fact. I think it's probably still going to be Watkins or Tielemans, but he has taken penalties in the past, and he's a decent penalty taker. I like him a lot as a player. I think 7 million. It reminds me a bit of Palmer, when Palmer, that breakout year, his price went up a touch and then it exploded again. So this feels like an in-between period where I think Morgan Rogers can really kick on. I think with both Rashford and Asensio leaving, I think he's like, he can play in his best position. He can do what he wants. Been really impressed with him ever since he's come into the Villa team, and I don't feel like that's going to slow down. I don't think Newcastle is as bad a game as we think, especially with Villa being at home and Newcastle away. 7 million, again, like, I think it's a good price point, but let's take a look at the forwards. Last but not least, I have managed to find room for Gyökeres at 9 million. Man United away in his first game. I think this is a great buy. I really liked him. I liked him when Man United was linked with him. I know people talk about he's a flat track boy or he gets a lot of penalty goals. Does it really matter? Do you know what I mean? Like, goals are goals. They still need scoring. I think he probably takes penalties off Saka as well, or he at least shares them. I think he's going to be a handful. I think they've underpriced him, in my opinion. I think he should be 9.5 to 10. That might have caused a bit more issues trying to squeeze everyone into your team, but I think he's going to hit the ground running. I can see him starting really well and then kind of tiring out and having quite a quiet Christmas and then having a great end to the season. But I think initially, I think he's going to just come in firing. Great mentality, great physically, not great in the air, and he's not got great hold-up play, but he's at touch and finish. And I feel like he's got a lot of finishes in his bag. Probably doesn't suit Arsenal down to a T in terms of the way Arsenal like to play, where they don't have a lot of space in behind to attack. Whereas Gyökeres is quick and he likes to get in behind and attack those. But I still think he'll be fine. I still think he'll do really well. And if he just kind of focuses himself in between the lines of the 18-yard box and just kind of stays there, I think he'll do perfectly fine. And I can see him maybe getting 18, 22 goals, something like that. And I think Arsenal fans would take that. And last but not least, we've got Solanke. I've still got 0.5 million in the bank, so this could be Jared Bowen. I don't love him as much now. I've gone off him a little bit. I'm just not convinced about West Ham. Like, the more I'm seeing of them, like, the worse they are. He did score against Man United in the preseason friendly where we beat them 2-1. I don't even love Solanke right now, and he did pick up a slight injury in preseason, as Thomas Frank said, so he might even be fit. Like I mentioned earlier, I would like to get Chris Wood in. I just don't know who I want to sell out of these Nottingham Forest players. It might even be Elliot Anderson because Granit Xhaka just signed for Sunderland. If Granit Xhaka comes in at 5 million, I could see myself maybe going for Granit Xhaka over Anderson and going Solanke to Chris Wood. Don't mind that as just a quick kind of thought right now, but I've got Krupa Jr. on the bench who plays for Bournemouth. He's there as a complete backup. I don't see him ever kind of coming into the team, like, unless he starts playing really well and he's just an absolute bargain. But I think those two first bench players in Anderson and Esteve are going to be the ones that take up most of the time. Esteve's just there to be a 90-minute man, play for Burnley every single week, and Anderson is there as a man who's going to come in most weeks if I do need somebody else. We've got decent fixtures, and I think he can come in, and we can come in and out of the team and kind of plug those gaps and fill those holes. So overall, pretty happy with this team. And like I said, I think my plan this season, as of right now, I think it's to play it similar to Sky. Have a lot of these set and forget players, and then mess around with your more expensive, or maybe 2 or 3 slots. Like, I might make transfers in basically my forward line, so Gyökeres and Solanke, and maybe one of the midfield slots like maybe like a Morgan Rogers, and just those 3 players just are the only ones that get transferred in and out every single week. And that's the positions that I kind of experiment with, and then just kind of forget about the rest of the team. I don't think like you need to mess around with it too much. You don't have to put. I think you can overdo it, and I think I overdid it last year. Like, I remember some things with João Pedro. I owned João Pedro about 15 weeks, and I think he got me something like 12 points. In the other remaining 20-odd game weeks, I think he scored something like 100 points. So I just messed around, bringing him in and out, and taking hits for him, and taking hits to get him out. And I think I probably had negative points overall with João Pedro, but I don't think he's an option for me right now. I don't see him starting, not on a regular basis. And if he does, I don't think he's going to play 90 minutes too often. He's not on penalties. Don't love it. So as a result, I've got Solanke right now. It's probably more of a placeholder. However, I could get some like a Jared Bowen, who might become an option the longer preseason goes on. Right, mates, that's it for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is my updated draft heading into game week 1. I've made a few changes, and I've tried to talk about kind of my not so much strategy, but the way I want to play the game this year. And I kind of do want to focus on just that more kind of Sky fantasy style of play, where you've got a lot of plug and plays, like you've got a lot of set and forget plays that you just put in and you just leave them and just let them do the thing every single week. And I think we can overdo things, and we can make too many transfers. I think this sets me up quite well to not make many transfers early on. I don't think I'll play many chips early on unless things change. I'll think about doing a chip video. However, there are some really good chip videos out there already. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment down below. Have a good day. Peace and love.